Good morning, everyone. First, I'd like to start off with a little prayer. This prayer for everything. Everything we start, and it's all for Him. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak through you. Take me out of it and put you in it. Help me, guide me, and thank you for this church and the people in it, the body. In Jesus' name, amen. Let me talk about how strong this church is to me first, about how everybody pitches in that makes this church run like it does. It's a wonder. A lot of people may not see it, but thank you for everyone that does it, and behind the scenes, the technical, everything. I mean, we're all together in this. We help each other out. Yesterday's fish fry was a prime example of that. We dug in and we conquered. And I didn't hear any complaining at all. Well, at the end of the day, we were like, oh, my back's going to go, right? And my back did. I put ice on it when I got home. But Lord got us through. Got us through, and He gave us a bounty. And just feel so blessed about that. So thank every one of you behind the scenes, in the church. I mean, like me and Jonathan always say, if you can't come to His house on earth, how can you expect to be there in heaven with Him? And that's all of us. We all got to be together. So start off with about my background. My parents, they were born in Minnesota. My dad's side, his father was in Vietnam. He came back pretty messed up. Had 5 boys and one daughter. He came back drinking a lot from what he's seen over there, which is totally understandable. He's a mechanic, diesel mechanic, lawnmower repair, everything you could name. He could do it. He could fix it. He got a little, wasted and angry, and threw one of his youngest childs out the kitchen window. So they all got separated into foster homes. My dad and the youngest brother were in one foster home, and the others got spread out throughout, which was really kind of the rocky start of my dad's life. But it led me to the people that he was being raised by, good Christians, which brought the faith to me, taught me a lot. My grandma Kirkman, which is his foster grandma, or foster mom, was a nurse, and she did everything for people. She'd work her 12-hour shift and come back and take me with her, and we'd go visit other people that needed help. So she taught me at an early age to, help thy neighbor. And I loved her for that ever since, just one of those things she taught me. And then he'd gotten in conflict at 18 with them and moved on to another set of foster parents, the Cowens farmers. And they were gracious with God. They taught me a lot about God. And then I also went to a Lutheran church, and I was confirmed in the Lutheran, baptized there. My mom's side, they were farmers. Her mom and dad were farmers. They had 2 daughters and 2 sons. At the age of 36, Richard, one of the sons, he passed away from brain tumor and died from that. And we used to have, I remember growing up, we had family gatherings and all the cousins and stuff would come. Well, then when he passed away, that ended. Everybody just kind of didn't want to come back to the family anymore. And it really was a heartbreaking. Devastating for me at that time. But we moved on. My dad was in the military. He was, they got my mom pregnant, and I think she was a senior, and didn't finish high school. And so Grandpa Arndt, the farmer, he's like, you better get a job and you better take care of my daughter. So he went off into the Army, and they went to Lawton, where I was born. We were stationed in Germany for 2 years first. And by the time I was walking, they said I was tipping beers, German beers, at the parties. So I don't know. And anyway, I came back. We came back to Lawton, Oklahoma, and had a house there. And my brother, or my dad's brother, came to live with us, and so the parties started. And I remember waking up and going into the living room and seeing a bunch of people partying and doing all kinds of things I didn't need to be seeing. And anyway, that finally, my dad went back to Germany, and we went up to Minnesota, and I stayed with Kirkman's for a little while my mom got situated, and then we went to my other grandparents, my mom's parents, and stayed with them for a while. I just started working when I was 8 in the fields. As soon as my grandfather seen I could drive a tractor, touch the pedals, I was out there doing that and walking the beans and corn and picking rock. And so I started early. It was a strong German family that we love you, but we're never going to show you we love you. We're just going to work hard and get things done. But the lunch that Grandma would make, you can't buy that hardly anymore. It's just home cooking. You just remember. Anyway, moving forward, as I was going through, I went to kindergarten in Lawton, and then we moved up to Minnesota, and I started first grade there up to the 10th grade. By the 10th grade, my parents had my mom said, if you don't get out of the Army, we're getting a divorce. And so he got out, got a job here and there, wasn't working out too much for him. And so he started messing up, and he was fooling around, and Mom divorced him anyway. So we ended up moving into town, and that's where going from the country and going into town is where a lot of my problems started, of running with the devil, you might say. All the kids in the apartment, we got together and we caused havoc everywhere. I was in myself. Didn't care about anything else. I was mad about my parents getting divorced and just rebelled. But good thing, we have that Father above to rely on every once in a while. And I did. I relied on him a lot. But I also put him back on the shelf. And I would do things that I wasn't supposed to do, get in trouble, get drunk. You know the story. At 18 or at 17, met the mother of my first child, Angelina, my first daughter. I was at graduation. She was being born, and her mother was knocking on the door, and I was hiding, being a coward. Wasn't ready for being a father. Graduated high school, did carpentry my junior and senior year, and took a break, went up to Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. Got to learn a whole set of new driving skills up there. It's like a little Chicago. But I would work at this, I got this first job at Midas Muffler, delivering parts with the old Buick four-door wagon. And everybody else in the cities had a pickup truck to drive. I got this beat up Buick. Anyway, they would draw on a piece of sticky note, give me my directions. I'd get in and go the way the directions were. And it was a madhouse driving in that city. But I learned real quick. So I didn't have a vehicle or nothing. I took the bus, and then I worked my way up, got a bicycle. But on the way to the bus, I'm experiencing all sorts of things in Minneapolis, and that's the gangs. I was in the worst part of Minneapolis, the gangs on Lake Street. Excuse me. And they had, on Halloween night, they had a prank. They threw a hooker over the railroad tracks as the train was coming. And that was devastating. Everything was going crazy, and cops were everywhere. And I remember walking to the bus, and then on my way to the bus, this black lady in a red dress comes up and says, "Would you like a date?" And I'm like, I didn't realize it till I got on the bus. I was like, oh, that was a hooker. She was asking me to go out with her. I'm like, oh no, this is not the place for me. I ended up being there for about 7 months, and I went back to Oklahoma because of my daughter. So I tried working it out. She was 4 years old, right? I went working in Branson after that, and then came back. But anyway, she was 4 years old. I married her for the first time, and it was constant arguing back and forth. Not that I wanted to argue, but it was a constant arguing back and forth in front of our child. I thought this was no place for a child to grow up. So I remember she was sitting on the couch, and I said, "I'm sorry, but I love you, but I can't do this to you. I can't bring you up in this life," and I left. Again. There's just no way I could have done that. And I prayed about it with God, and God said, "Go." He said it was okay. And to this day, she's got two daughters that I've only seen in pictures. Later on, as I go, you'll learn more about that. But then I met another girl, and we weren't never married. We went off and tried to live life. Didn't work out too much again as expected because I was me being me. And I settled. I always settled. I never actually seeked these ladies, but I would settle because I was alone and I thought I needed somebody. We had a child, the second one, with another girl, April, and we had Chelsea. I got to be in a relationship with her for most of her life until that didn't work out either, and I went to prison. I was involved in drugs, and I remember the day. I was running drugs from Sioux City, Iowa to Minneapolis. And I remember when I got pulled over and I was working a job, and I had written a check for lunch, and the guy said, "You got an outstanding warrant for you." And I'm like, "What?" This is in Iowa. He said, "Yeah, I guess a check or something you wrote bounced." Well, that $20 check got me 20 years because I had a whole lot of drugs on me. But I remember sitting in the back of that cop car and feeling peace. It was over. God, just had me calm. I was thankful that I was not running that life anymore. It was running and exhausting. And he saved me through the whole thing. He was always with me. Through prison, I thought, oh, here we go. I'm going to meet Bubba. But anyway, I was big and I was Bubba pretty much. Not that I did anything like that, but I was big enough to hold my own. And I stayed to myself, and I used the time that I did. I got 20 years, but I did 5, and they let me out with good behavior. And I went into work programs and basically treated it like it was a college. I did home inspection classes. I did all that, and then I worked on. They had a prison industries job, and I focused in it, and I became really good at building boats and stuff like that. Thankful that nothing happened while I was in prison, because that's the worst thing. You're in prison, you can't do anything. If somebody passes away, it's the worst feeling you could be in. Feeling that you can't be there because you were running with the devil. You weren't doing God's work and helping people and picking up the pieces for everybody, and that's a lot of things I do. I try to help a lot of people, and sometimes it gets me in trouble. And I've learned, and through the experience of all this that I've been through, he gave me those things to go through to see it now, to show me that this isn't the right way for you. There's another way that's way better. It's through Jesus Christ. I then went on, got out of prison, and decided I think I needed to get remarried. That was another, right off the bat, it's like them coming out of Egypt and building the cow. Here I am, coming out of Egypt, gonna build my cow again. Had 2 sons, and that didn't work out. It was another convenience. And I told myself, no more convenience. I need to find somebody that I want. I want to be happy with somebody. Met my wife, Nicole, and it was almost not going to happen because we were texting. We met on Plenty of Fish online, and it was confusing at first because she was from Houston, lived in Ringland. She wanted to get out of Houston, and she went polar opposite to Ringland, Oklahoma, a very small town. But she was working, she said she had worked in Duncan, but she was working in Lafayette, Louisiana. And I'm like, where's this girl at? And of course, I'm talking to her online. I drop my phone, and it lands in the water, and I lose the number or the text. And I'm thinking, how am I, I just found the person that I love. I mean, I knew I loved her when I seen her picture. She was in a nurse outfit. She was standing in a room, and just the smile. The smile went right through me like God goes through me now. He brings joy. She brings everything in my life. Well, we got married, and I had a vasectomy. Well, Nicole says, "Oh, that's okay. We can get a reversal." And I'm like, okay. But this is the first time in my life that I actually was doing something that I wanted to do and she wanted to do it, to make a child. And it was with surgery reversal in record timing, she was pregnant with Ava. We timed it to where we were trying to get her between my birthday and Nicole's birthday. Well, bless Nicole's heart, she held on as long as she could, but she made it to June, which was important, getting her in June. Needless to say, we did not have struggles after that because I got in the way again. I started remodeling. We started with our first house, or her first house, sold it. We moved to the next one and started work. She was working in Ardmore. I got referred to a couple of elderly ladies that were living together in their parents' house. Their name is Eva and Martha. Eva was the youngest. Martha was the oldest one. Martha was a city girl and Eva was a country girl, because before they bought the house where they were at, Martha was born in town, and their new house was out in the country. So Eva was born in the country, and their dad was a doctor from Indiana, and he delivered Eva right there in the master bedroom. So they needed their kitchen remodeled. The ceiling was actually, as the lady was introducing us, the ceiling was falling down as they were having breakfast. Little pieces of the ceiling was falling down. I'm like, yeah, you need some help. So their brothers had passed on, and they were taking care of them. These two sisters lived together for 40 years before I came along and started helping them. Well, we had a relationship after getting everything done, and we kind of fell in love with each other, taking care of each other. And Eva said, I was born in this house, and I want to die in this house. And me just being a carpenter, I said, well, Miss Eva, I'll do whatever I can to help you. And so at this time, we were putting the dishes away and everything after the remodel was done in the kitchen, and they had a cleaning lady, Hispanic, and she threw her towel down and said, that's it, I quit, because we were helping her do what she needed to do. Very strong-willed about them doing their job. And I understood that, but I think this was building up a long time from even Martha coming down and helping her, but she stormed off. Her husband was out in the yard mowing, and he said, get in the truck. Well, he picked up that lawnmower and put it in the truck, and they went off the road. And I'm watching this through the kitchen window going, what the heck's going on here? So I said, Eva, I'll do your yard, and we'll find another cleaning lady. This is Cece was the cleaning lady, and it had been built up for a while. So anyway, I took care of the grounds. I took care of the house. I took care of them. We moved into the carriage house, sold our house there in town, and moved in there. And we were there for about 10 years. Eva passed away in her parents' bedroom and got her wish. That's one thing that I did in my life that I followed through on. I made a promise and I followed through on it. But between me and Nicole, I was not faithful and had a slip, and it nearly destroyed us. If it weren't for her and her strong will and her love for me, I wouldn't be here today speaking. I wouldn't have been able to go down there to this house now that we bought, sit on the porch and see the light that shined from this church that burnt down. That was my calling, and I told the girls, this is the church we're going to go to when we get here. We came down in 2020. And I started working. We were living in the little house and the big house was completely gutted. I was going through a lot of talking to God and a lot of praying and a lot of them sorries. Not to my wife, which should have been, but to God. Is at that time I knew that all my running and putting God on the shelf, God said, your time's getting closer to the end. There's a time in our lives, James said it this morning, that you know, and I'm sure I've got a lot of time left, but I know it's coming. We all do. But this time, I'm doing it with God. I'm living a life for God, and all the things that I've read about in the Bible, pieces here and there, I've read it through, but pieces here and there are nothing without this church and doing Bible study and really learning it and really believing and living it, because the Bible, to me, I got told in prison, one of the best things I got told in prison is the Bible is basic instructions before leaving earth. How could it be more clear than that? If we don't know him, when he calls us, how is he going to say he knows us when we don't know him? Just like if you can't go to church on earth, how could you go to his church in heaven? I owe everything to God and my family. On all of you. Cecilia, I've watched you from the time I got here, first time I got here, and you remind me a lot of my mother. Short, strong, and firecracker. You may have lost a daughter, but on the sidelines, I look up to you like a mother. You gained a son. Thank every one of you. And Jonathan, I'd like you to read Matthew 24, 1 through 14.
Then Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came up to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said to them, "Do you not see all these things? Assuredly I say to you, not one stone shall be left here upon another that shall not be thrown down." Now as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and the end of the age?" And Jesus answered and said to them, "Take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nations will rise against nations, and kingdoms against kingdoms. And there will be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended, will betray one another, will hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all nations, and then the end will come."
Thank you, Jonathan. As we were making breakfast this morning, and I invite everyone to come to breakfast. It's more than just food for the soul. or food for your stomach, it's food for the soul, because James came in and out of the blue poured his heart out to us. It was just like God walked in and was talking to us and showing us there is a God. Through us, we are his living word. We have to keep passing that on. We have to keep it together and just keep those miracles coming like that. Jonathan the other day prayed for a lady that never been prayed to before. It was just a miracle. And Jonathan is just like a snap, just like that. It was that quick. And then Pastor said the other day, there's 2.6 million people that are Christians, but there's 8 point so many that are not, that haven't seen it. We have a lot of work to do. I believe my brothers here are strong workers, strong for Christ. That's why I love this church. Everybody comes together. That's what makes this a family and a church, that we can all go to heaven together just like this. It's beautiful. Thank you.